Alright, back out in the garage, 302 Super project. Yeah, so where am I at? Got the drain pan down here because I've been washing out the inside of the crankcase, except for maybe wiping it out a little bit. I think that's pretty good. This is the oil pickup. I'm not really sure what happened there, but I think maybe a number 3 rod bolt head might have smacked that dude. Maybe. Yeah, there's some neat writing in there. Looks like where this thing was made in Elkhart, Indiana, maybe. Oh, yeah, Elkhart, Indiana. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so we're getting that cleaned up. Been playing around with, you can see I got this little spot right here where it's a little more yellow. I've been playing around with working on trying to buff out some of the paint. Frame rails are a little rough. You can see up here on the hood, I did a little bit. Here's definitely more yellow, or brighter yellow than back here. I just buffed this a little bit. I normally use, or what I've been using is, there's some I did a couple years ago. Anyway, I normally use, I got some turtle wax buffing compound, but it's, when I dug it out of the shelf, it was really watery, which is really weird. So I got it all stirred up, and hopefully it'll kind of rehomogenize, and it did better than that when I used it on the 5-star. So I'm hoping maybe I can rejuvenate the side of the frame rail, and I don't know. Up there front's a little rough. I did play a little bit up there on the front of the grill, but I had asked on one of the Moline Facebook groups about, because I'm so far into the engine, I got to take frame rails and basically the whole front of the tractor off, so I can get in there and get, if you can see that pulley's got to come off right there, and there's a bolt in there, and there's not enough room, so that's the front casting's got to come off, and the easiest way to do that is 2 bolts on this side, 2 bolts on their side, 2 bolts here, 2 bolts on their side, so like 8 bolts, and then that whole assembly, frame rails and radiator front end assembly, is separate, and we can just roll that away. Kind of picking up and modifying and doing my own thing based off of Andy, Ohio MM. That's he's got some good links for molding videos, and especially on these 302s and stuff. I came up with my own jack stand sort of thing. I've got this, so I got this piece of C-channel that I already had holes in it that were spaced perfect to bolt it to the bottom of the engine. Piece of 2-inch pipe, 2-inch by 6 pipe nipple is the perfect size to fit down over my bottle jack, and when the head of the jack makes contact with the C-channel, I'm going to be a 1/2 to 1 inch of the shaft of the jack up in here, and there's just a little bit of play but not much, so there's going to be, I think there's going to be pretty good stability between the jack and this bracket thing I built. And by the time you add, you know, the 9 inches or so the body of the jack under there, I'm not going to have too many wooden blocks that are there, so I think it's going to be pretty solid. I've done sketchier stuff. My big problem is what am I going to hook to the frame rails? What kind of rolling cart can I build, do whatever. I've got an idea. It's going to take me a week or so to yeah, it'll be next week probably before I get it back from the farm. I've got a splitting stand that I made for R's and Z's, ZA's, ZB's that has some wheels and whatnot that slides across the top of the transmission to hold the transmission up, and then I roll the engine away. That I think I can maybe modify to work for this. So anyway, that's where I'm at on getting the parts. And I get the governor in there, and then while I was playing with the main reason for playing with the buffing compound was I was trying to take something that had been, you know, kind of hidden from the weather, whatnot, trying to match up the brown, the Dyna brown. So I used the buffing compound to buff up the air cleaner pipe, and I think this was a side of the pipe that wasn't exposed to weather. Anyway, so I've got original Dyna brown here. I've got Krylon leather brown here, and then Krylon something else there. Anyway, I think what I really need is something about halfway between the two. I've been doing some research. Rust-Oleum's got something that's close and whatnot. I may just take this to my favorite Sherwin-Williams store and see if they can color match and make a can of spray paint for me. We'll see how expensive that is. If not, maybe I'll just call Clinton Kelly at Stom's and just order a rattle can, because I think one rattle can is going to do the whole engine block or engine assembly. I don't know, depending on how expensive it may be, over two, just because save on shipping. So I'm planning on later tonight tearing into the pistons and hey buddy, getting the rings off, and this one I've already started on this one a little bit, going to the wire wheel and cleaning up all the carbon. That one hasn't really been touched much other than scraping to see that it was 40 over. But every time I look at these pistons and rods and rod bearings, I know we use the tractor some, but they're just everything's just so clean. Anyway, so that's project probably for later this evening, is to pull the rings off and wire wheel the carbon off the top of the pistons. Another big project, or I shouldn't say big project, another project. If I ever figure out a rattle can of spray paint, fan water pump assembly is going to get cleaned up considerably better than it currently is. I'm not sure what all I'm going to do. Well, I'm just going to wire wheel it and live with it, or if I'm going to stick it over there in the sandblast cabinet. But I do know that the tack drive assembly, or tack drive adapter, that little piece right there bolts to the side of that plate over here and picks up off the cam gear, and that's what drives the tachometer. Yeah, this is the thermostat housing. Those two pieces definitely getting sandblasted. Carburetor definitely getting sandblasted. I've been messing with it. You can see it. I'm not sure it's nasty. Float. It's a brass float. How nasty's it got to be inside for a brass float to pick up iron rust? Well, how nasty is it got to be? That doesn't even begin to describe it, because I've already started cleaning this thing up. It's pretty rough, but this will go through the sandblast cabinet. I've got the main jet here. That's the last piece of brass, I think. Yeah, I think it's the last piece of brass on the bottom of the carburetor. There's a slot down in there in the bottom of it to get it out. That's the last piece of brass in this half of the carburetor. The upper half, I think I've gotten everything out of it, but holy smokes, it's just as kind of as nasty. So these two halves will definitely, these two halves of carburetor are definitely going to go through the sandblast cabinet, inside and out, and then we'll blow them out real good, and you might cook them again. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's just, and then another problem with the bottom half is somehow I managed to like twist off a screw with a flathead screwdriver. So we'll have to figure out how to get that out of there. At some point I might throw in the towel and just take this thing down the road and let my buddy Matt over at Motec tackle it, see what he can do with it. I think if I get I don't think I can afford to pay what he charges for a carburetor, but I know if I do pay it, it'll be right when I get it back. And I don't know if I clean all this all up as best I can. All he's got to do is fix the broken screw and get jet out and put it back together. I don't know. I don't want to do that, but anyway, I got at least, well, there's at least 4 pieces, maybe 5 if I throw that in the sandblast cabinet. It's not happening tonight, but here's some more of that Dyna Brown. That's the official color, Dyna Brown. Say this is, I forget, saddle leather brown or something, and it's too milky, and the belt leather brown or whatever that is, that's too brown. I think I like this. I think I like this better than this. But I don't know when I take this over next to. Nah, I'm still. Yeah, I see. I don't know. I'm still leaning towards. Getting. See if I can get Sherwin-Williams or somebody to mix up a rattle can of something closer based off of a color sample off of that. But anyway, that's where we're at on all this. And well, I guess while I'm out here in the garage, last weekend was the PGR. Well, it was a PGR Prairie Gold Rush winter show spring convention over in Ohio, as well as the Minneapolis Molding Collectors Club show over in Illinois. And I know I was talking to some guys I went to the PGR show. And we were talking about fuel, and so my Dodge Cummins, this is kind of the start of the process. I've got a, let's get this thing. I got a filter bag that looks like it needs cleaned. I dump waste vegetable oil into in this tank. Then from the tank, there's a pump through a household filter, then through a goldenrod filter / water separator, and then into whatever container I decide to put it in before I put it in the truck. I was talking to some guys about hauling the 445 and the diesel truck. It gelled up on me, and I found out last night, 2 nights ago, that there is a layer of fat that has settled out to the bottom of my tank. So I'm in the process of trying to get all that out. I think I've pumped enough fat out of the tank that I've completely plugged the filter, because I actually busted holes in this little short section of tubing between the pump and the elbow, and it was spewing oil. You can kind of see on the top of this box and in here on the wheel where it was spraying oil out, because the pump was pumping but there wasn't nothing coming out. So my plan is I can't do it in the next couple days because I just got too much going on. My plan is Saturday, Sunday-ish, we're clean as much of this mess out as I can. I think I'm down far enough in the big tank that I can probably manhandle that thing up over that front wheel. We'll get all that out. We're gonna clean all that out, the whole area out, and take all this apart and replumb my filters better. The bucket was to catch leakage. I still think I need something to catch leakage. I don't think a bucket is the way to go. I'm probably going to go to Menards or something and get a good heavy-duty tote of some kind. We'll probably hang the blue filter on the side of the tote. We won't put an angle in there or an elbow. We'll just go spacers from goldenrod to whatever. Yeah, and we might even add more between. There's actually a ball valve down there for the coming out of the tank. We may actually add more line and try to find some line that the oil doesn't affect, because over time it just makes, I assume it's the oil, it makes just about every kind of line I use just stiff. So I can find like some, I don't know, 3/4 inch or 1 inch fuel line to do some of my plumbing with. But yeah, so for my vegetable oil that I burn in my truck, it goes through the filter bag into the tank where it settles. I think I need to actually prop my tank the other way so that it settles away from the pickup going to the pump. From the pump it goes through 2 filters, and then here's actually this is the last jug I pumped out of the tank, and you can see this white, that's congealed fat. There's a little bit floating on that tank, or on that, this was the last one, this was the second one. The first one was mostly clear, but I'm concerned as much fat as there was, how much I was sucking down through the piping and into the tank. So those are going to just sit and settle for a while because I've got plenty of oil. I don't have to sort back through this to get fuel for the truck. So I'm hoping to get this cleaned out, get filters and stuff redone and realigned and everything back up to speed, and we can start burning vegetable oil instead of $5 a gallon Biden juice. Anyway, so that's 302 project and garage project stuff kind of all wrapped in together. So anyway, I'll be back.